Hello and welcome. Today we'll be focusing on how to create different roof types in Revit. First is a flat roof. We go to level 2. We can see the wall. So under architecture, you go to roof. Under roof, you click on footprint. Select the roof type to be concrete roof, whichever concrete roof you choose. And then use the sketch tool, like the rectangle tool, to create the concrete roof. One thing about flat roof is that you don't have any angles. Select the whole lines you've created and make sure define slope is not checked so that it's flat. Before clicking OK, check the base offset from level. You can set it to 0 and click OK. And if we go to the 3D view, this is your flat roof. We can edit the flat roof. For example, you can add split lines and then lower it a little bit to show trims. So I can click on split lines and let me say I'll add lines like this and I'll add another split line this way. And I can select, let me go to 3D to show you. I can select this point and then say this to be minus 100 mm. This will create a gentle slope to show the direction of water along that slope. To finish up, I can just create a void here to put a flood drain. On the roof, I can go to vertical opening, select the roof I just created, and maybe create a box like this. So I click finish. So here is the place I can locate my flood drain, and if I'm creating a flat roof, this is how it's gonna be. Next is the hip roof. Before I continue, it's important to know that I created a 600 mm wall above the level 2, and that's where I place all my roof. So my roof will be 600 mm from level 2. So I'll go to level 2, go to roof, under roof by footprint, select the rectangle tool, offset it by 600 for some eaves. Select the appropriate roof I want to use. Make sure that the base offset is set to 600 and then draw the rectangle. Since I'm creating a hip roof, I need all the angles, and all the angles by default are 30 degrees. If I need to change any angle of the two sides, I can let's say make this 45 degrees and click finish. Asks you if you should attach the wall beneath it, which is always very good. So I'll just click on attach to attach the wall beneath it, and I'll click on 3D view. This is how the hip roof looks. Let's create some variations to the hip roof. Let's say we want to create a hip roof that has another intersecting hip roof in front. So we'll go to level 2, double click. All we need to do is to make sure that the intersecting hip roof form a continuous stretch of lines. So I'm just going to offset this by 600 and run a line from here to this point and use the trim tool to trim this around here. So I can ensure that this tool remain whatever angle I wish them to be. I know this as 45, so I'm just going to set this one to 45 degrees also and click finish. So this is what we have. And if we go to the south elevation, you can see what we have here. And if you go to the 3D view, this is how to create intersecting hip roofs. If you select it, you can unify all the angles by going to slope and type in 1 degree, and they can still be unified. Before we continue, I humbly want to appeal to you to click the like button and the subscribe button if you haven't done so. This will help me to make more videos and also help my videos to reach a lot of people. Thank you. Next is the Gable Roof. On level 2, we'll double click to edit this. The same process of creating a gable roof by footprint. All you need to do is to uncheck parts of the roof. So if I want this face to be gable, I'll just need to select it and then uncheck define slope. If I want this section to be gable, the same thing. If I want this area to be gable, the same thing. So any area you don't check and you leave these areas, then the other areas will be gable. So even if I remove this particular one, just leaving these two edge, and if I click finish, if you go down there, you find out that these two sections are gable. Now why this one is a complete slope is because I removed the angle here. So if I double click on it, let me say for example, and check this angle here and click finish. So we're going to have double gable. So we have this lower gable and we have this higher gable. So that's how we work out gable roof. The next roof we want to create is a butterfly roof. Under architecture, you go to roof by footprint, and then you sketch through the process like we did in the first time. Make sure you indicate your eaves to draw this box around it. For a butterfly roof, it's almost the inverse of a gable, so we don't have these angles. And then for the two angles we have, we are going to use a negative angle slope. So let's use minus 25 degrees, for example, and then we'll click on attach. Now, if you go to the south elevation, you discover that the roof is slow. That's because the roof is going the other way. So we need to offset this roof, let's say by 2.4, and see how high above it goes. Depending on the angle, we might need to go more like 3 meters. So this is how you create a butterfly roof. To adjust this design in such a way that it maintains the angle, but they are varying heights, go to level 2, double click to edit, select one of the faces and then set the offset. So we can extend this offset by, let's say, 1.5 meters and click finish. So if we go to the elevation, so this is what it does. It gives us an uneven butterfly roof. So this is how to create the butterfly roof. The next roof I want to show you is how to create a dormer roof. That's like creating 2 hip roofs at different levels, attaching them to each other. So we'll go to level 2, double click on this roof, and we'll just, first of all, we'll start by creating a hip roof. So I'm just going to select this and define slope and make all the slope 30 degrees. And the height from base, set all of them to 0, so we have a single roof. So this is what we've created. Okay, sorry, the base offset from the last roof was 3,000, so I'm just going to bring that one down to 600 like I've done in all. So to create a dormer roof, I'm going to create another hip roof on level 4. So I'll just double click to go on level 4. I'll first of all create the walls from level 2. So let me just go down a little bit. Under architecture, click on wall architectural, and I'm going to try to sketch a small wall here that goes more than level 4. Then I'll go to level 4 and then try to create the roof for that. So under roof, click on roof by footprint. I can set the offset to this roof by minus 300 to ensure that it gets to the point I want. Select a smaller roof. For now, I'm just going to take offset to be like 250 so that it doesn't cut across the wall that much. I'm going to create a gable roof, so I'm going to turn this 2 off. I'm going to make the angle a little bit lower, so let's say 20 degrees, and see if it works perfectly. I'm going to attach the walls to the roof, and let's see. Fine. So this is a dormer roof, but it's really low. I did offset of this roof by 600 from level 4 so that it can be high enough for us to appreciate the wall. So this is how you create a dormer roof, and let's go ahead to create the opening that the dormer roof forms. From my sketch, the dormer roof is already intersecting with the main roof, but there is a cleaner way to join the 2 roofs. So I'm just going to edit this roof, bring it back a little, detach the targets. I don't need this wall, so I'm just going to move it back here and possibly delete it. So to attach these 2 roofs nicely, under modify, you use the join and unjoin roof tab. Select the face of this roof and then select this face of this roof, and it joins the 2 roofs neatly without any issues. And this is important to get a good and clean dormer from your roof. So from this, we are going to go and create the opening of the dormer, because you can see that this roof is still showing beneath the dormer. So we'll go to level 2, and then with wireframe turned on so that we can see all the things happening around. Under architecture opening, we'll click on the dormer opening. We'll select the main roof we're about to open, and then we'll have the option to pick the edges and walls that are intersecting that main roof. So I'll pick these walls, and then I'll also pick this roof, and it's going to select the 2 edges of this roof that touches the main roof. We use the trim to create a continuous enclosed line, and after that, click on OK. And with this, it creates the opening. If I select this wall, you can see that the roof has been cut open. For these ones, it's just for me to extend the walls on plan to cover those openings there. Basically, this is how you create a dormer roof. Next is the Dutch roof. To create a Dutch roof, ensure you've created a level that cuts across the existing roof at some point where you intend to insert the Dutch roof. Select the roof that you've created, the hip roof you've created. Under the Properties tab, you see Cutoff Level, and select that particular level. In our case, it's level 4. And the roof cuts off at that level. We'll go to level 4, double clicking on the icon to go to that level. I just want to delete this dormer I created the last time. And then create a gable roof on this position. So I'm going to go to roof by footprint, and just create a rectangle. This time I'm not offsetting from the base, neither am I offsetting for the eaves. I'm just going to leave it exactly at that point. I'm going to have these two defined slopes unchecked because I want a gable. I'm going to maintain the 30-degree slope since that's what is existing in the existing roof, and I'm going to create Dutch roof. So I'm using different roof types. I'm just going to match types to ensure that the two roofs are the same. And to remove this line here, I can just use the join geometry tool to join the two roofs, and that's easily done. I can create walls on level 4 and use it to cover the two dormer space. So after creating the walls, you just to select the two walls, hold down Control, attach top on base, make sure it's stop, and click on attach. If this happens, that means the wall needs to go a little bit lower so that it can attach to the roof properly. So that's what's causing that. So I'm just going to drag the base and then move this in. So this is how to create a Dutch roof. We'll finish up our basic roof in Revit with Roof by Extrusion. Under Architecture, we'll go to Roof and click Roof by Extrusion. It asks us to pick a plane. In Revit, if you are creating extrusions on elevations, you always need to pick a plane. So I'll click on OK, and I can use the tab key to cycle through, or just use my mouse and pick a plane here. I'll set the level to level 2. It will ask me to sketch parts for the roof. You can use any shape you want, such as a semicircle to create a dome roof and things like that. But for me, I'm just going to use the spline tool to create a more interesting form. So okay, so I've created this form, and I'll choose the roof type I want and click finish. I guess the points I used were too many, so I'm just going to simplify it a little bit. I think the thickness of this roof is too much for it, so I'm going to use a thinner thickness. Due to the curves I made, it showed couldn't form roof based on the thickness of the roof. That's why. So I'll go to 3D view. I'll select the walls, click on attach, and click on the roof. So here we go. This is how we create the roof by extrusion. One final thing, the vertical opening that can cut through a roof can also cut through a roof by extrusion. So if I select this and let me say I create a circular opening here and click OK, it's going to still cut this roof vertically and then create some really nice addition to that. So that's basically it. So we just covered some basic way to create roof in Revit. So there are many other ways to create more complex roofs in Revit. We'll be exploring that as we go through. You can check out my next video on how to create corrugation on your roofing sheets. Thanks for watching. Cheers. I'll see you in the next video.